Hello, human peoples. You're listening to the podcast network of Gamefully Unemployed. To support us and gain access to great exclusive podcasts like Fox Mulder is a Maniac, Tom and Jeff Watch Batman, Star Trek The Next Futurama, and our latest show, Spiel Boys, head over to patreon.com/gamefullyunemployed. We do game streaming, movie nights with our patrons every Friday night, and you can even commission your own podcast about anything you want. Literally anything, within reason, and we have to do it. You are quite frankly out of excuses not to go visit patreon.com/gamefullyunemployed. That's patreon.com/GAMEFULLY unemployed, which is spelled like it sounds.
Halbkast mit Tom Reimann und David Bell.
Hello, everyone.
Hi.
We're an episode of STRIKEcast.
STRIKEcast.
Oh, it's the show where we strike, and we get hype about stuff and things. I'm your co-host, Tom Ryman.
I'm your other co-host, David Bell.
And I am your sole producer, Jeff May.
Hello,
Oh,
Jeffrey.
son of a bitch.
Yep, that's me.
This might... Jeff, thank you. Thank you. Hi.
Hi.
How are you?
Me, I am very talented.
Yeah.
Riding real high off
you-
being our sole producer.
Oh, you meant an emotional.
Mhm.
How am I?
I know. It's
I
either
mean,
one.
I'm fine. You know, things are good. I like getting in the Wayback Machine.
Sure.
For STRIKEcasts. Anytime I can talk about when I was 11,
It's always a good day, right?
I will
Oh,
be here
yeah.
for it. Yeah.
I don't hate it.
You
I
know
don't hate
what's...
I've made a
You know what's
career
sad?
out of remembering what happened when I was 11. So,
it.
Yeah.
and Tom
What's
and I have
sad
made a
is-
podcast about it.
This might be our last STRIKEcast.
Yeah.
Well,
As of release, they should be having a meeting right now, right?
Right. And we're also taking... So next week, we don't have a Hypecast because I'm going to be gone. We are putting something out on Friday for people who are worried and freaking out right now and
Pumpcast.
setting their house on fire. But that means that if the strike gets handled between now and, 2 weeks from now,
Yeah.
then we're back. We're
I believe
back.
October 20th is your next scheduled
Yeah.
blank cast.
So you hear that, folks? That's how long you have.
That's all.
You get that thing settled.
I would like to say blank cast is a podcast exclusively about Blank Man.
Can I be
Classic
on this
film.
podcast?
I want to do this. I want to talk about J5 for an hour if I could.
Yeah.
J5. I forgot about J5. I need to rewatch Blank Man.
Motherfuckers act like they
Yeah.
forgot about Jay.
J5.
Jeff?
Yeah.
Do you want to
Plug some stuff,
plug
maybe?
some stuff? Yeah.
I mean, if you're listening to this, I'm going to assume that you have a passing knowledge of me as a person. But if not, I am the co-host of Tom and Jeff Watch Batman. I'm the Jeff half of that with my boy Tom Ryman. You are listening to him on this. So I do that show on the Gamefully Unemployed Patreon. You are most likely familiar with Adam Todd Brown. I do a lot of shows with him. We just started our Andre Agassi season of You Don't Even Like Sports, which I know, Tom, you like the show. So it's
I'm
back.
pretty excited about that. Yeah.
A new season started. And I do You Don't Even Like This show, and we do You Don't Even Like Sports Cards, which we just did. I open packs of trading cards on camera, which is my favorite thing to do. You got to get in on it, Tom.
I really need to.
You
I'm so
really
Sounds
gotta get
legit
in on
fun.
it.
I'm vibrating with jealous rage.
It's so fun. And then, of course, I have my own show, Jeff Has Cool Friends, which is a long-form interview podcast with people that I think are incredibly fascinating, and I think you would as well. You can get that for free, or you can go to patreon.com/JeffMay, JEFFMAY, for early access to uncensored episodes with bonus content, including access to exclusives like Ugh Fine with Kim Kral and early access to Nerd with Dre Alvarez. So we got lots of stuff. I think this month Dre and I are covering Adventures in Babysitting, which is one of my all-time favorites.
Oh, fuck.
That's a pretty sweet movie.
I haven't seen that one since I was a little turd.
Last month
and-
we did Searching for Bobby Fischer. And it's so funny because I'm like, we're having a lot of fun with these, but I'm like, I don't think these are going to pick up the algorithm at all.
No.
I don't think these aren't going to catch much tooth in the algorithm, but
real good for the brand.
But yeah, and I do I Must Break You, which is my brilliantly named by Dre, my co-producer at Nerd. I Must Break You is my YouTube show where I open cards every Wednesday afternoon.
It is a good name. It was a very good
solid name.
Jeff.
Yeah, I'm not mad about the name.
Thank you for joining us.
I'm glad
What's
to be.
new? Anybody do anything? Anybody beat Baldur's Gate 3 lately?
Nope.
Because I have.
Oh, good for you, Dave.
Yeah.
How
You
did
can
you have
finally
the
rest.
time for that game, Dave?
So what's lucky is that Hana is also in the Baldur's hole. And so we're both like, when I'm not working, that's just it. It's just Baldur's Gate.
You have a Baldur's Gate.
I also rushed through the game a little long. So I think I'm going to celebrate beating it by starting a new character and just doing it again, but like take my time. Because that game's a problem.
It's
the reason
Really
I
is.
don't have a current system. Like
Yeah.
I would, you know how I named all that stuff in the beginning of the show? All
Yeah.
canceled if I got it.
Yeah, you'd be like, what are you up to lately? And you're like, well,
just really just playing video games.
Yeah, playing
probably
video
got
games.
caught up on Rogue Squadron.
Yeah.
For the N64.
No,
yeah, I got caught up.
It's tough, man. Assassin's Creed Mirage is coming out. I'm getting it tomorrow. And then there's a new Spider-Man coming out on the 20th. So I'm like penciling it in where I'm like, I got to get these games done.
I'm not going to play any of this shit
Can't do it.
until 2024 at least.
Yeah.
I've got a lot of work
It's
to
hard.
do.
It's too much. It's too much going on.
I will have like fans and listeners, they will ask me like what I'm playing. And I'm just like, Marvel
Baseball.
Snap when I wake up sometimes. And before I go to bed,
Oh, yeah. You know, I've been, I feel a little ashamed. I've been playing that Mario Run still. Like, you remember that? Remember that game
Oh,
people
yeah.
played like 6 years ago? Yeah. I realized that I owned it, and like the other day, I just needed something to play. Like it was
That's like
I was in a place where I just like I needed like an
Just
hour to
that's-
kill.
It was just a piece of driftwood
Yeah.
you're clinging to.
that's like rediscovering Angry Birds, and then the next thing you know,
Yeah.
it's dark out, and you're like,
Yeah,
shit.
exactly.
It's dark out and you're broke.
That happened to me. I deleted Angry Birds. This was back when I was a teacher, so it was like 2011 or 2012. I got home from work, sat on my couch. I put on Angry Birds. So I got home from work, so it was like maybe 3:00 in the afternoon.
Right.
And then the next thing I knew, I was still sitting in my couch, no lights on in my apartment, and it was dark. And I was like,
that's the worst.
delete. Nope, can't do that.
Yep, no, none of that.
Nope.
Oh yeah, the ones that got me are the ones that do microtransactions.
Oh,
Those
yeah.
are a quick delete. Where the first $10 I spend for like virtual fucking icons, gems, I'm like, all right, no, fuck this.
Tom
We're good here.
Tom sold me on paying $9.99 a month for Snap.
Oh yeah. I throw disgusting amounts of money at that game.
Tom, you tricked me.
You sick
I got the
freaks.
Elsa
No.
Bloodstone.
Yeah.
She's great.
I'm not doing any of that.
I haven't put her in a deck yet. I'm excited for Man Thing and Werewolf by Night this month.
So if you want to do Marvel Snapcast real quick, Tom, Kitty Pride
I
and
hate this.
Elsa Bloodstone is an insane combination.
I bet, yeah.
Because you keep
get
adding
that combo
3
over
points
and
to
over
her and then
again,
bringing
sure.
her back. So within like 4 turns, she's at like power 20.
Or any
hate
cards
this.
that move, like Nightcrawler or Vision.
I hate
Anyway,
this.
No, I just want to talk about this now. But also,
this.
let's go back in time. Let's hit the way back machine, gents.
yeah.
Well, first we have some
And
producers to thank.
That's
We're
what I'm
gonna
talking
name
about.
them in 1993, though.
Yeah.
So let's go back
Hmm.
in time to 1993.
Yeah, to October 1993. Ooh,
I'm
such
sure
a juicy time.
all of these producers existed in October of 1993.
Of course.
You should 1993 out their names.
I don't know what that means.
You should change what they say to be like, here's what this would have been in 1993.
That is too much.
Way too much work, yeah.
So what it's going to end up being is just adding 93 to the end of each one.
All right.
Yep.
Can I thank the first person?
You can.
Sure.
Shout out to @NerdNumbers, my nerd
Thank
co-host,
93.
93.
but not
Thank you.
Thank you to Zero Charisma 93.
Thank you.
Thank you to Aaron Burser 93.
Thank you.
Thank you to 93 AJ.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you to Andrew 93. How deck the halls with blood.
Thank you.
Thank you to Asking 790. 3.
Thank
They
you.
get a Bob 93 Grenville.
Thank you.
They get a Bootler. Boodle 93 Sin. Yeah, it worked. Thank you.
All right, let me jump in here. They get a Brian who Tom knows, a 93.
Thank you.
They get a Brockway loves the meat Millie, 93.
Thank you.
They get a Burrito wants you to drink water, hit the gym, and do the ska, because they loves y'all, 93.
Pick it up. 93.
Gestures, 93 Profit.
Thank you.
Christopher Robert Sparts, Esquire, the 93rd.
93.
They get a Dan Hackroyd, 93.
Thank you.
They get a Davey that goes to East Las Vegas, Francis, 93.
Thank you.
They get a David Knife Boot Henson,
93.
93.
93 in effect.
93. That
First
was
in effect,
terrible.
who were
That was
also
great. It was
last in
great.
effect in 93.
That's true. That's
So-
true. RBI Baseball, 93.
What were the big movies of October 1993? Well, let's start with Mr. Jones,
This-
a movie I did not know
And me.
existed.
Believe it or not, nothing to do with the song. This movie was apparently actually filmed and completed in 1992 before that song was released.
Wow.
Something I want to say about this episode that got me really excited is, Tom, you and I have been talking about this. We talk about this on a group chat. I love watching old Siskel and Eberts.
Yes.
It's like my
You have a
favorite
group
thing
chat?
to do. It's great. There's a YouTube channel where it's just like an old TV and it plays them, which is great.
Yeah, you
I-
got me hooked on that.
I'm addicted. I know all of the opinions of these movies as well. So like when it was like, I've never heard of these movies, I'm like, I have recently watched a detailed review of all of these movies.
That's great. This is it's 2 directors, and one of them is the director of Copycat and The Core.
Yeah.
So they all hits.
This has
All
rom-com
hits.
the core energy.
Yeah, I guess.
I don't know what kind of energy this has. This has like Awakenings meets Phenomenon energy. Like,
Yeah.
It's
Okay. So something about Mr. Jones that I think is about all of these, first off, is like when you look back at how different movie trailers were back then, they were almost misleading by committee, but like also very
Yeah.
confusing about the energy. And I did notice that we got the In a World a few times, and I was like, they said that thing.
Oh, yeah.
we got a lot of platitudes and vague statements about dreamers too.
Oh,
yeah.
in this
This-
slate of trailers.
But this trailer, it felt like just one big crime.
yeah.
Because it's Richard Gere, and they're like, oh, he's so wacky. And the only things they show him do is harass women.
Harass and
impulsive.
assault women.
Pretty much
And
it.
almost
Yeah.
commit suicide.
Yes. And like put people in danger. And it's like, I forgot where movies could just be like, this whole movie's about get a load of this guy. Isn't he a guy? Look at him.
Yeah.
Look
Isn't he a
how
little
wacky
guy?
this guy
Look at
is.
this little guy.
Look at this.
What are we going to
Yeah.
do about this guy?
Yeah, there's-
and,
do about this guy.
and that's
to
it.
be fair, that's the world now, is us being like, look at this guy. What are we going to do about this guy?
What are we gonna do about this guy?
It's much more
Yeah.
urgent now, but like definitely like the 1993, you definitely have there's got to be a spoonful of sugar in half of these movies where you're just like, yeah, that's probably not a good look.
Yeah, I mean, he literally grabs a woman and kisses her while she's shoving him away
In front of her
and they're like,
boyfriend.
and yeah, and they're like, look how wacky he is, and I'm
The-
like,
I remember this movie when it came out. The incredible thing about this movie, I went back and read the synopsis of it before we recorded. Would you believe this movie is an incredibly serious drama about a man with bipolar disorder?
no,
From the trailer,
I wouldn't believe that.
Because that's what it is.
there's one thing that's an inkling of it, which is when the guy is like, I will have you disbarred if you do not stop fucking this mentally ill
you
man.
must stop fucking Mr. Jones.
Stop
That's
getting
this
the
movie.
bones from Mr. Jones.
So this movie should have been called Stop Fucking Mr. Jones.
So
No, but that
I
could
just
mean
found him-
stop fucking Mr. Jones, or you got to stop fucking Mr. Jones.
comma, Mr. Jones.
both are valid.
Both
This had 3 directors.
That's too
Three
many.
directors.
A second ago it was
I'm-
2, Dave. Are they
I know.
multiplying?
Hey, like
So what
Mogwai, yeah.
happened? What happened was they kept passing it off. Mick Jackson was the first director.
You're going to say Mick Jagger.
During development.
And got
No, that'd
very
be great.
excited.
Yeah,
The
I almost
second
went
director-
backwards in my chair.
The second director directed most of the production, and then the director of the core, who, by the way, is also the director of the miniseries The Singing Detective, which is pretty good, and like it's weird that that's also one of the things he did. He was the third one during the second round of reshoots. It seems like there was a real problem. Michelle Pfeiffer was supposed to be in this and gave it up because she had another part. Can you guess what that part would be?
It's Batman.
Yeah. She went to be Catwoman, which
Smart move.
good choice.
Yeah.
Good
I don't
choice,
know.
Michelle Pfeiffer.
Time
Well,
will tell. Give it
yeah, that's
another
true.
30 years and we'll see what.
Jury's
holds
still
up,
out
guys.
on Mr. Jones.
Yeah. I'm fascinated by this film. I have to watch this.
It sounds like, I mean, clearly from this trailer, the fact that it had 3 directors, 2 rounds of reshoots, which
Because it's
usually,
not a real
usually
movie.
sounds worse than it is. But yeah, like it seems clear that they were struggling with the tone of this film as well.
So,
oh my God. Sorry. It's from the writer of
Please
Forrest
tell me
Gump
something fucked up. Okay.
and the new Dune. I don't know what's happening. Like this feels like this might have been and Killers of the Flower Moon from the writers of Killers of the Flower Moon.
So there's a thing that I talked about actually on the Searching with Bobby Fischer episode of Nerd with Trey Alvarez, where we talked about how like this is the sweet spot for like movies that you would literally never see, because mid-budget dramedies used to be just the thing. Like it was just you could, and like that's not a thing anymore. They're ignored. It's not a tentpole movie studio blockbuster, so nobody gives a shit.
I think because a lot of them made up what the mid-budget movies were, and we just don't make those anymore.
Yeah, and
this is
rental, like, because you could make a movie for $10 million, and that was like a good budget then, and they would recoup that on VHS sales.
There's also the fact that actors just make so many movies that, like, you ever do, like, when I watched Knock Knock, remember Knock Knock, the Eli Roth, Keanu Reeves, Women Are Terrible movie? Mm-hmm. That's one of those movies where I knew as I was watching it, like 30 years from now, people are going to be like, what is this movie that Keanu Reeves was in? You know, like, there's always those movies that you're like, how did I miss this actor who's huge being in this weird fucking movie?
Those are the ones that end up on, like, Pluto and Tubi.
Yeah.
Or Netflix picks them up and it's just like, we put on, do you want this movie?
Right.
Jack
and then you look
Black's
up
in
who
it,
made it and
maybe
you're like,
this, maybe this.
And it's like everybody involved has their own fame and you're like, well, how did this happen?
Yeah.
This feels like one of those.
Yeah,
I can't wait to watch it. Yeah.
This definitely seems like, I don't know, like Richard Gere is just like, I want to let loose a little bit. Like
Richard Gere was making a lot of these movies around this time.
Was he making these like he was always the straight man though, right? Like he was always
sometimes like
Primal
around
Fear, like Runaway Bride, even
he's
Pretty
fun
Woman.
in like Chicago, but that's later.
That's
I guess.
later. Yeah. You're right. He usually played the more straight-laced character. Like he did this one, and then like Dr. T and the Women, and I think like
he's the pre-Duchovny.
Yeah, Prince of Tides is kind of like this movie too.
Yeah.
Where it's also about a therapist and her patient, right? Isn't that what? That's Barbara Streisand in him, right?
Probably.
Okay,
Nobody
never
knows.
mind. We can move on from this film to the next movie.
Yeah.
All right. What is? Oh, Judgment Night. Another movie. This is a movie that I only recently learned existed, and it's one where like, how the fuck did this happen?
This movie's awesome.
This movie is an event.
The soundtrack of this movie was massive.
Yeah.
We did watch the movie night. Yeah.
It's the soundtrack that led to the Spawn and Blade 2 soundtracks of take two opposing styles of music and smash them together and see what happens.
All right. It's a group of friends, and I believe those friends are Emilio Estevez, Cuba Gooding Jr.
Correct.
Is Stephen Dorff? I know he's in this. Is he one of the friends?
He is one of the friends.
And Jeremy Piven. And they are out doing. They're just like regular dudes who are like. I think they're trying to go to a boxing match or something.
They're trying to get to a boxing match. Yeah.
Yeah. And then they accidentally like do an Adventure Kid crime thing, even though they're all adults. Where the bad guy that's trying to get them is Dennis Leary.
Hell yeah. Sure is.
he's gonna pin them down and talk about how no one will let him smoke anymore and stuff.
You know what I like about you guys in RVs? Okay.
He's going to corner them and sing the asshole song.
It is so funny. I don't think even in 93 you can't. It's like you can't get away with Dennis Leary being the bad
I'm going
guy.
to disagree.
You just can't. I'm sorry.
They were
I'm
trying
actually going to
something
disagree. Dennis Leary has real villain energy to his existence. Like
the problem. I mean,
he's
an
anti-hero
asshole.
at the very least. He has anti-hero energy.
Right, but he's kind of still like he's not. I know too much about him that he doesn't frighten me. Right, like I don't believe that he's a murderer.
You
It's just-
don't. I like.
No.
I look at. I know. I guess, Dave. Maybe you spent too much time in the western portion of the state, but Dennis Leary has real like. I'm gonna kill you outside of this Worcester bar energy.
I mean, he has like break a bottle over your head energy. But honestly, so here's what it is. He has to me more. I'm getting a bottle broken over my head energy.
I love that you guys are arguing over the semantics of Massachusetts scumbag.
I know,
No, but
he's to me the guy who can't shut his fucking mouth at the bar and gets beat up. Does that make sense?
I
Who's,
get
like,
it. Yeah, I picture him
mean
to
and
be-
like shitty, but he doesn't win the fight.
those wiry guys. I always remember he'd be like, "Don't fuck with that guy." Like I know
yeah.
you think you can take him,
They'll gouge your
but
eyes.
he's
But
gonna
please
do
don't.
he's gonna do something fucked up, and that's the energy I've always gotten from Dennis Leary in everything. And so even like I'm actually more surprised when they put him in some kind of like 2 if by C shit, and you're just sitting there like,
Well, even if 2 if by C, even though it's a rom com,
criminal,
he's playing a thief.
Yeah,
like he frequently plays criminals.
yeah, the ref,
The ref.
Yeah, he's a thief.
delightful.
But again,
I
the
love
ref,
the ref,
is like, there's no real teeth to this guy. Like, that's always how I think of him, is like tough guy talker, kind of just doesn't, is like, I don't see him as like a sociopath, as like a really scary murder,
That's crazy because I couldn't disagree with you more.
He's also back, like he's backed up by like Peter Green in this movie. Like they make you believe that they need to run away from Dennis Leary in this
looks
situation.
like a guy that would set you on fire.
Yeah,
like
in this movie for sure.
But like in
By the
most
way,
movies, every time I see him, I'm like, look out, this guy might light you on fire.
He might actually set you on fire. Look, there he's got the lighter fluid. I can see it.
This is the year. This is Dennis Leary's year, by the way. We'll obviously be covering another one, but there's also The Sandlot was this year.
Also the ref.
Yeah, the ref
It's
was
all
next
93.
year.
Oh, you're right. And the ref is 94. You're right.
But that's still, he's probably making deals for the ref. Loaded Weapon apparently came out in 93. So Emilio's also just having a year,
I loved Loaded. I saw that in the theater.
It's pretty great.
Yeah, you
Shatner's
would.
awesome.
My dad was like, Kathy Ireland's in it? All right, let's go.
Climb in.
Yeah, this is
son.
This is it. America was in love with Dennis Leary.
Listen,
They're like, we want you in Operation Dumbo Drop immediately.
Listen,
after this.
Listen, Judgment Night, Jeremy Piven, pre-hairpiece, playing a glorious scumbag in this movie. He's so fun. This movie rules. I love Judgment Night.
It's the ultimate movie where you're like, I didn't know this existed, and how did these actors get together?
Here's what
did they even talk about?
Here's what I'll say about this movie. It is not good, but it is great.
Yeah. It's
that
not good, but it's awesome.
It's from the director of the 2020 Dark Tower movie and the 1998 Lost in Space. So there's that.
Wow.
He also did Blown Away, The Ghost in the Darkness, and Predator 2. And
there you go.
That makes up for everything else.
All
I
of
just
those
said.
movies fuck hard.
Yeah, exactly.
Soundtrack. I think this is really high on the list of soundtracks that are vastly superior to the quality of their movie.
That's tough for me because I love this movie so much.
Yeah.
It has a lot of like rap rock and
it's a synthesis of hip hop artists and rock musicians.
It was like they just kind of did like a team up. They would team up two different groups for each song. It was a cool soundtrack.
4 years later, you'll get metal and electronic music with Spawn, and then 4 years after that, when did Blade 2 come out? Was it 2001?
2001.
So
Oh,
yeah.
wait, no, that might have been 2002.
I'm looking at. So did they had them do like custom songs? Because I'm looking at these songs. It's performed by Slayer and Ice-T.
Yeah.
Performed by Mudhoney and Sir Mix-a-Lot. Performed by Sonic Youth and Cypress Hill. Did they like? This feels like this was a soundtrack that needed to justify its existence, so they made a movie.
So
that's what it feels like.
I mean, this is back when soundtracks were big money.
Oh yeah.
This is one of those things because we talked about this. I did an episode of the Soundtracker podcast about Spawn. And one of the things is like both groups tend to be very interactive with each other. And it's only like afterwards that you would see sometimes people would be like, yeah, this person did not contribute at all. They just gave us their vocal track and we just had to work with whatever they gave us. But a lot of times they will literally work in synthesis with each other to make sure that it sounds great. And I love that. Like, I absolutely love that.
Yeah, it's like when Run DMC did Walk This Way with Aerosmith.
Yeah. And they were like, can we sample it? And Aerosmith's like, let's just do
We'll
it.
just record it. Yeah. Let's just fucking do it.
Yeah. I always think of fucking the Lemmy Ice-T Born to Raise Hell for the soundtrack for Airheads.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway,
terrific.
this movie, it fucks. It's a bad movie, but it is so good.
But also it's great.
Yep. Which
Yeah.
is fine. I watched Time Cop last night.
I'm
Loved
looking
every
at
minute of it.
Time
the
Cop is
behind the
awesome.
scenes of this. Apparently, Emilio Estevez was not like he was far down the list, and apparently he was cast because the studio just wanted to cast somebody.
That's
They
the
were apparently
story of his
desperate.
life.
It really kind of is. Poor Emilio. I like him,
Poor
but like
Emilio.
a lot of his roles feel like that. Where it's
Yeah,
like,
it feels
and
like
really,
you couldn't
Emilio's
get
the
the
guy
other
you went
guy.
to for
You couldn't-
this.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
He
Even
was very
Paul
He's
Abdul,
always
you were
good.
like, you couldn't get
Yeah.
anybody else. You went with Emilio? All right.
yeah.
Remember when Paul Abdul and
Uh.
Emilio Estevez were like married?
I don't.
Really
They were married or engaged.
That's
good
awesome.
for them. Didn't work out though.
You don't hear about them hanging out now, do you?
It's true.
shame.
That's true. How could
sad for
they
them.
let MC Scat Cat come between them? Let's move on.
Rudy. The next trailer is for Rudy.
Fucking Rudy.
The
Who
Sean Austin
Who
as a guy named Rudy.
doesn't remember
I
Rudy?
assume-
This movie.
I don't.
Did you-
Really, this movie was everywhere when it
I
came
watched
out.
this
Oh.
movie in school.
I should. So I remember Rudy. I'd never seen it.
Sure.
That's all. I know of its existence.
it's-
I just.
Great.
I'm sure it is. I've had no reason to see Rudy. in my
I mean, I
life.
watched it once in 1993, and I was bored out of my fucking mind.
Oh, watch it now. It's guys, it's so good.
I'm sure it is.
It
It's also
is
hard because,
so
like, I know the
good.
story's bullshit.
I will, yeah. They
Like, he made
fluff
it
some
up.
stuff here, but I will add, it is also the genesis of the Jon Favreau and Vince Vaughn friendship.
Right, because they're
Oh,
both
wow.
on the team in this movie, right?
No, Jon Favreau is the tutor.
Oh, right.
Vince Vaughn
okay.
is on the team. Yeah,
That's already. It's bizarre that they're both in this, but yeah, why wouldn't they be? I guess.
yeah. This was
Around-
So wait, this is based off a Liar's story. Did
Yeah,
I
no,
hear that?
Rudy,
Kinda.
we wrote about it
Well,
on Cracked. It
it's
was one of our,
embellished.
yeah, it was one of our early big hits on Cracked. It was
I
it was
mean,
something
they're-
about like movies based on a true story that were kind of bullshit, and
Oh, okay.
he made up a lot of this, and apparently like everybody on the team hated him. Like-
Oh, that's great.
Oh, I could
yeah,
see everybody
it was
on the team
embellished
hating
in
him.
like, yeah,
well, sure,
like-
yeah.
it's embellished in a way that like directly undercuts the point. I assume, like
Yeah.
like that Blind Side, another movie I haven't heard, but I just heard that was based off of lies as well. I feel like most
I don't
sports movies that are based off a true story
Sure.
are based
True,
off of
true
lies.
stories do not. True stories aren't usually interesting enough to be.
Yeah,
They have to be embellished. The
Oh,
reason
yeah.
people would be like, they kind of didn't like Rudy. It's like, yeah, because he was a tryhard that wasn't ever going to do anything, and he was like making life harder for the players.
Right?
And like, yeah, that people are going to get annoyed by that.
And he was Sean Austin. You know, he was always hanging out with that Pauly Shore,
Charles S. Dutton's in this.
trying to get laid. Yeah, he is.
When did Alien 3 come out?
1992, baby.
So this was prime Dutton era.
He was telling them stories about
rock.
Alien on the set of this.
Remember Rock?
Yeah,
Yeah,
hell yeah, Rock Live.
Rock Live.
movies.
Loved Rock Live.
Yeah. Anyway,
Rudy's great.
I mean,
Rudy's great.
it's-
Even if you don't like sports, I know people. It's just a great movie. It's a feel good movie based off of a story that probably doesn't make you feel that good, but
sure,
Right.
but
tenacity.
plenty of movies are.
I just get real bored with sports stuff. Like for me, I've talked about this a million times. I underestimate sports movies. Like I recognize that fact. I don't give them a fighting chance because to me it's so binary where it's like, are they going to win or not? Like, and usually sports movies are more than that.
It's not
They're
about
way
the
more
sport
than that.
usually.
Yeah, they're almost always never about the sport, but they never appeal to me. They just never.
You don't like Major
ever.
League?
No, I'm not really. I don't really remember it. They don't. I like Slapshot.
A League of Their Own?
Although that's a super dated movie. A League of Their Own is very good.
Major
I like the
Major
top
League though.
tier
Major League
ones.
is just not for you.
I just haven't seen it in a while. I just don't. I like that. I like the Moneyballs, but that wasn't really about sports.
No sports,
and nor did it.
about sports.
I do like those money balls.
Yeah, like I said, it's more that it's. I'm not going to sit here and say, "Ooh, sports movies are bad." It's I don't seek them out, and I'm not. And if I watch a mid one, then it really like I have to watch like top tier. It has to be as good. It's kind of like musicals. I'm the same way, which is like I don't really care, but I'll watch like the best version of that genre. I'm just real, it's not my genre.
See, Warrior?
No,
Warrior's pretty
I'll
sweet.
watch it.
Warrior is
So yeah,
yeah. I get it.
Rudy.
You guys see?
I understand that people don't necessarily get motivated by that, especially this fan base. I'm just saying,
Yeah.
open your mind.
Oh yeah. No, I encourage people to go watch sports movies. This is a failing. I'm not.
I'm quaddling
You know.
everybody's sports distaste.
Our next trailer is called For Love or Money. It's from the director of Wild Wild West and some other stuff.
yeah, sure.
But
Barry
mainly Wild
Sonnenfeld.
Wild
It's
West,
primarily Wild Wild West.
This is one of those movies where I'm like, what did this
Man,
happen?
I feel like I've seen this movie. It's Michael J.
Yeah.
Fox trying to make $3 million as a hotel concierge so he can open his own hotel. But whoops,
It's one of
2 million.
he's attracted to his
To this-
new business partner's girlfriend.
Right.
So will he choose love or money?
and it's called For Love or Money.
Sure is,
And
Dave.
it's one of those where I'm like, did they? This was like, did they really think we would care about this character? It's like he's a
No.
concierge in a luxury hotel. He's handsome. He's rich.
Right.
But should he
just
start his own
needs
business?
$2 million.
Yeah.
So-
It's like, what?
Or should he sleep with this other hot chick? Oh, what's he gonna do? And I'm like, I don't care. I don't like this person.
Here's the thing. You might not like this person, but you love Michael J. Fox.
Oh, of course. And he loves playing this.
Yeah.
Like I love him in fucking American President as like,
As a needy sycophant. It's like
yeah, and
controlling everything.
then him in Mars Attacks. Like he used to play dickhead.
Oh, he was
like
so good
political
at
dickhead.
Yeah, he was good at
He
it.
did it, which is wild to me because it was like he was Marty more than anything else. And then everything else he did was like the opposite
yeah,
of that.
because he was an actor.
Right.
Yeah, and when you look at him, you're like, yeah, he does look like a villain. Like he looks like
he
a
has
money hungry
Good
dickhead.
smarm to him, like because he was
yeah.
Doc Hollywood. Like he was really good at being a likable scumbag.
Yeah,
Like,
That's
like-
Alex P. Keaton on Growing Pains.
Yeah.
Is that?
yeah.
Family Ties.
Or that's right, Family Ties. I'm sorry. They're all the
Growing
same.
Pains is the Rapture guy,
Right.
Right.
the guy with the Subway sandwich birthday party.
Oh, something Cameron or
Kirk Cameron.
Kirk Cameron, yeah.
Yeah, where he had that birthday party picture. It's one of my favorite photographs ever on the
It's the
internet.
funniest. Oh my God.
It's perfect.
Which one was DiCaprio on? Growing Pains?
He was on Growing Pains. Yeah.
This is from the writer of Mighty Joe Young and Mercury Rising.
Yeah, that makes
And
sense.
another movie that's on this list, and Star Trek: The Undiscovered Country. This is just from a writer, is what I'm kind of saying here.
This is a short story, right? Like this is a short story that became a movie because that's the energy
Probably.
it brings.
Oh, I don't know,
Yeah,
man.
I mean, I don't fucking know. It feels like it's just one of those. It's one of those weird artifacts of this era. Like where you're like, damn, like how did they make this?
There was a brief,
and it's probably fine, you know?
Yeah, I mean, it's Sonnenfeld. It's not one of the movies that you hear of his, so maybe it's not fine. But like, we did a lot of farce like this in the early '90s. Like, I'm thinking of like Noise Is Off, Oscar, this movie.
I wrote in the notes we make
there's plenty of movies like this in the early '90s.
Right. I wrote in the notes that we make too many movies, and this just feels like when it's like a studio is like, well, we got to make a movie. Like a weird reference, Career Opportunities is another one of those movies where I'm like, I guess they had to make movies. Like that's like, yeah, you just got to make movies. And I'm not saying they're bad movies or good movies. It's just like there's so many fucking movies.
Well, it's mid-budget too. Like they're not. They're like, instead of making one $75 million movie in 1993, they made 8, 9 to $11 million movies.
Oh yeah, and they're all pretty good. It's just like
people went
I can't
to the
keep
movies.
Up. There's so many fucking movies.
Yeah. Because you wrote, we made too many movies, to which I replied, but Michael J. Fox didn't.
Oh yeah, no, that's the thing. Is like we made too many movies, but I don't mean that as like there's a lot of crap out there, although there is. It's more of just like, how can I watch all these movies? You made too many.
What's weird?
Like I got to watch them all, but you made too many.
What's great about Michael J. Fox movies is they are ranked by the implausibility of its existence. Like the more impossible the scenario is, the better the Michael J. Fox movie is. Where you're like, traveling in time, that's not going to happen. Concierge? Probably. I don't care.
Probably. Yeah.
Werewolf?
You can talk to ghosts.
Yeah. Ghost Talker? Hell yeah. Not going to
near the top.
That's such a good
Put that one
movie.
near the top.
Like I do think, like talking to ghosts, being a werewolf, Invasion of Mars, like all of the ones that are the weirdest things are the ones that are the ones we give a shit about.
Right. It was like when Orlando Bloom tried to be a person in modern times, and we were like, nope.
No, thank you.
I don't want to see him have just a normal
Get your
life
ass
story.
into the past.
Yeah. You put on a fucking wig and you shoot some arrows, you
Yeah,
motherfucker.
be a pirate, you fucking jerk.
Yeah.
What the hell do you think you're doing trying to be in a...
Being here in Elizabethtown. Get out.
I was going to say a Cameron Crowe movie. Get the fuck out of here.
No, we don't need that. We don't need that from him.
Let's move on.
Nightmare Before Christmas.
What's this?
It's
What's this?
It's an animated film.
An animated film?
By Henry Selick.
Henry Selick, yeah.
It is. This is so timeless that this trailer isn't that dated, but it's still so dated that I'm like,
it's weird.
Right.
It's weird
Like,
to see, because Nightmare Before Christmas, and this happens with any of, like, I think we made the same comment with Jurassic Park, where it's a movie that's just so ingrained in our minds and is so classic and is so...
Yeah, you don't get any Hot Topic energy out of this trailer.
Yeah, it's so iconic. Exactly. So when you see it in the trailer context where it's removed from its own context, it's really jarring. It's like,
welcome to an imaginary world. It's like, that is not the energy you need
Halloween.
You do not bring that energy into this story.
It's like you want to say to the trailer like, oh honey, you don't have to sell yourself that hard. We're gonna like you. Like it's that too, where it's like they don't know. They don't know they're about to put out The Nightmare Before Christmas. They have no idea if this is going to be anything.
If this is going to,
I mean, they probably
have
have some idea.
Stranglehold on high school outcasts for the next 3 years.
Yeah, exactly.
Man, I loved this movie. I just remember this trailer pretty vividly.
Yeah, when you know what it was when you see him spinning the cat,
winding the cat.
Like, I remember that. Did you guys see this in the theater?
Yep.
Yeah. How did you react?
I loved this as a kid.
Did you love it?
I went nuts for this movie. Yeah.
I was really bored during this.
Like 2 weeks later, I made my parents take me out to find the soundtrack CD. It's the first CD I ever owned.
I had the soundtrack too.
Yep.
I liked. So I was a big fan of like movie making at that age still, or like theatrics. So like the stop motion of it all too made me be like, wow, like what the fuck am I seeing? Like it blew me away. I just realized something I didn't know before. I didn't know that Catherine O'Hara is Sally. Mm-hmm. Didn't know that.
Oh
just didn't know that for some reason.
She's also,
and now I'm listening. I remember the voice. I'm like, yeah, of course she is.
And also that
she's the little witch too.
When Chris Sarandon showed up and he's like, I'll sing. And Danny Elfman,
and
it's fine.
No, you won't.
Yeah.
You can speak, Chris Sarandon.
Help yourself.
Yeah.
Speak your lines, man. They're great.
Go nuts.
It's like, well, all he had to do
Speak
really
all
was
you
sing,
want.
well, this is kind of how we want Jack to sound, and then Danny Elfman sings one line. It's Danny fucking Elfman, and Chris Sarandon was probably like, yeah, I'm not doing that Oingo Boingo stuff. You can...
Yeah.
you should probably handle that.
Oh, man. Yeah, I don't know what to say. I mean, it's
Nightmare Before Christmas. It's awesome.
Yeah. What else
It's
can you
wicked
say other
good.
than, hey, this is the thing that's on 1 out of every 3 hoodies that you see walking by?
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, this trailer, I do remember this trailer, and I remember it. I do remember like not being that psyched for this movie because the trailer's, it's kind of mid, the trailer. It's not like,
I mean,
it looks like, and it's visually amazing, but the trailer isn't like,
They're all
it's like any other fucking trailer. Yeah.
because
they're
they're
all
all
kind of
just
like
like,
that.
what do you get?
Well, then you
live
watch
in
like the trailer
world
for
of
The
Halloween
Shining.
all year round.
Yeah,
Like-
but then you watch like trailer for The Shining, and you're like, oh, they knew. Even making this trailer,
Yeah.
they knew they were making something fucking
Well, yeah, 'cause that was
special.
also like a different dude. You know, that was also a different dude
Yeah.
talking. You know, and they'd be like, and this is his time. The shit's gonna get weird.
I don't think there's any
Yeah.
But they were
in
like-
Shining.
But they were like, yeah, fair enough. But like, there's also this thing too, where like, this is a weirdly unmarketable movie, because who is this for? It's not for young children, but they market it for young children. This movie is actually surprisingly scary for young children. Like we tend not to think about that because we're grown men in our 30s and 40s.
Yeah,
But, like-
depends on the kid, but yeah,
I
mean,
saw
yeah.
this in 3rd grade.
if you have a creepy little kid, they're fine with
No,
it.
I mean I get it, but it's like, and obviously, yeah, you did, and
That's not a
like,
young child, though. Like, I was like, 8, 9.
Yeah,
in
you were
3rd
8,
grade.
9. Also, you're a little fucking freak. Which
That's true.
Like I get that too, but
Mhm.
like because it's a Disney movie, so Disney's like, let's do this, guys. Who is this for? Like,
Well, it's actually, if you notice, it's Touchstone. They were
Well, yeah.
spooked. They were too spooked to put it out under Disney.
well, they should have been, because it's PG, right?
Mhm.
It's certainly
It is.
not The Little Mermaid. You know, it's not Aladdin. It's not The Lion King. It is its own.
The trailer ends
Twisted.
with a severed head sting.
And like a guy poking his own brain and shit. Like
Yeah,
it's fucking weird, man. Like
it is. Yeah.
it is the
They
fact
were-
that, and that's actually why it's stayed so powerful, because you can watch it as a 9-year-old, be like, I like this, and you can watch this as a 39-year-old and be like, fuck yeah.
I also like this.
Yeah. It's like
It's
RoboCop.
awesome.
I picture this and RoboCop to be roughly the
Oh yeah,
Very similar experience I have watching them both.
yeah. RoboCop's one of those films where they're like, we made it, it's out, and I guess kids like it too.
I guess
I'm
we'll
like,
make
huh.
a cartoon.
All right,
Greeting
yeah,
cards with sticker and a bubble gum and the deleted X-rated
That was-
scenes.
that
which
wasn't
is
supposed
true.
to happen, but I guess. Well,
Hell yeah.
well, yeah.
Yeah, the RoboCop
Ah.
2 set contains RoboCop 1 and 2. And in RoboCop, the 1 scenes, they use the deleted scenes that got them an X rating. So there's like a card of Murphy's arm getting blown right off.
Mhm.
Awesome
For children.
That's awesome.
There's,
Yeah,
there's
damn
gum in
right.
the pack.
Children love this shit.
Hell yeah, it's awesome. Teach them.
Speaking of children's films, this next one is A Bronx Tale. This is a movie I haven't seen. I always knew existed. And then just clicking on the IMDb, I'm just like, what? Wait, what? Because
yeah.
it stars Robert De Niro and
Chaz Palminteri.
Chaz Palminteri, and I was like, who's directing it? Directed by Robert De Niro. Who wrote it? Chaz Palminteri. What's going on here? What the fuck? They just made a
seems
movie.
like a couple of this is the Damon and the
So-
Affleck of old Italian men.
Well, yeah, I looked it up, and apparently this was based off of one of Chaz's. He made a autobiographical one-man play, and it's based off of that. And he went to studios approached him for the film rights, and he said, I will do it for at least $1 million, and also I get to write the screenplay and be in the movie. And the studios were like, no, we don't want it that much. And then De Niro was like, I do. Only I want to direct. And then the studios were like, fine, Jesus. Like, basically, he just went in 50-50.
The headaches.
And they partnered. And they're like, fine, just make the movie. Like, that's more or less what happened.
Is this TriStar?
Probably. Why wouldn't
You
it
just
be?
picture like the Columbia executives just being like, "What are we doing right now?"
It feels a lot like, and I don't mean this in a bad way, but it feels like De Niro being like being on Scorsese films and being like, I could do this.
That
I'll make a Scorsese film.
this definitely is a Scorsese film by Robert De Niro.
It's got like, it starts with like 50s music and like flat, and I'm like, God, this is such. Later he did The Good Shepherd, which also felt like he was sort of doing that era version of like dramas, and that's good too. That movie's good too. He's not a bad director, don't get me wrong.
Yeah, De Niro's an artist.
He's good. He's directed 2 films and they're both pretty well made, as far as I know.
A Bronx Tale has gone down as like the most Scorsese non-Scorsese film. It's like thinking that, what if I were to tell you Bronx Tale by Scorsese, you'd be like, yeah, just like saying Nightmare Before Christmas by Tim Burton. You'd be like,
right,
absolutely, like, he is the director.
When everybody in the days of Napster and Morpheus thought that one Modern English song was by The Cure. I'll stop the world and melt with you. It's The Cure, right?
Yeah.
Sure isn't.
Do you think he like called Scorsese and he's like, I'm not helping you with that shit, man?
No, Martin would absolutely help him with that.
Yeah.
Martin Scorsese, if there's one thing we know about him, it's that he likes to give the assist.
That's true.
He loves cinema. My man loves
this
cinema.
Got Pesci in it. This is a great premise.
He's the
it seems
Scottie
to be
Pippen
about
of cinema.
It seems to be about like, it's kind of the idea is it's a mobster, right? And then the dad of a kid that's like getting like involved with the mobster, right?
Yeah, it's a kid.
And the dad's like, stay away from my son.
He's torn between 2 worlds, right? It's not unlike the Departed.
I was about to say The Departed kind of played with this. It's a great premise.
I really like
apparently
that young actor in the.
I forget his name. What's his name?
No, I was asking. He looked familiar.
He's really great in another one of these movies that we talk about all the time, these mid-budget 90s dramedies. He's in Renaissance Man.
Yes, he
is one of them. And he also had a great role in The Sopranos, where he dies crying out for his mother before he gets shot.
Oh, he gets shot in the amusement park?
It haunts Tony, him crying out for his mother for like the whole season.
I mean, he still shoots him.
He sure does. And that's the memory of it. Like, and he just thinks about that. And it's like, oh, I'm a terrible person.
I gotta watch Sopranos.
I've never seen A Bronx Tale.
I gotta see this movie.
I haven't either.
Man. Okay,
it looks good.
It does. I've only ever heard good things about it. My only experience with it is there is a minute-long clip of dialogue from A Bronx Tale in an Atari song, and that's the only thing I know about
funny.
it.
That's very funny. Fucking Ataris. Oh my god.
I remember there was a dialogue clip of the Mario test on like some like weirdly mislabeled MC Chris song that wasn't MC Chris. About Super Mario Brothers or something like that.
The Nintendo test?
No, it was called the Mario test.
The Mario test.
I don't know.
I don't know.
That's the only thing I know. Mario's a fucking psycho.
With these movies, what it is like they pass you by, right? Like I remember seeing like The Departed in theaters where it's like, oh yeah, this is the new Scorsese, right? And that movie's great. I really like The Departed. But I don't exactly go back and watch it. And it feels like there's these windows where it's like, when am I going to sit down and watch A Bronx Tale? Like when am I going to realistically just like find the time? Yeah. To like sit and just watch it for fun.
Like, cause
I bet it's really good.
You could watch Demon Knight instead.
Yeah,
exactly.
I'm probably going to watch
like,
Demon Knight.
I am most definitely going to watch Demon Knight instead.
Part of it is age, where it's like the older they get, the more I'm like, I've been working all day. Got to sit down and watch a movie. I'm going to throw on Demon Knight because that's easy, right? And so it gets harder and harder to find the time to watch, like, unless it's got hype around it now, unless everybody's going out and seeing it. It's like, I don't know. I got to pencil this in though.
Right.
The 30th anniversary, Dave. You might as well do it now.
Yeah. I try to. Whenever I have a good day off, sometimes I'll be like, you know what? I'm going to watch like 4 movies that I just haven't seen or gotten around to see. But it's,
that's what
it feels like work.
That's what Tubi and Pluto are for.
Oh, yeah. It was what Netflix was for, and now they biffed it.
they fucking
Yeah.
drop the ball
Real
like
biffers.
Yeah. You want to talk about the Beverly Hillbillies?
I do.
Oh,
Tom,
man.
I am shocked that you haven't seen this movie.
Nope, never seen it.
Shocked. I saw it a bunch of times as a kid.
Yeah, we rented it. I think I might have had the
we rented the
rental
fuck
poster.
out of this.
That's
Yeah,
hard. That's
and it's-
hardcore.
You could get.
I remember the bloopers at the end.
Oh, I remember. Yeah.
Lily Tomlin.
I remember realizing it was Ernest, like not realizing at first, and being in my mind getting blown.
That's his first.
by that.
That's his first and most notable role, other than Slinky Dog.
Yep.
That he got to do, and it was great for him because he's like, "Oh, I would like to be able to act. Thank you."
Yeah, not just do Ernest movies.
Yeah, and they're like, all right, we'll give you this piece of shit
We'll
character.
give you a character who's
hillbilly."
basically Ernest.
Him and Ed
Yeah.
O'Neill, man, they both got whomped by their popularity.
And this is from the director of Suburbia, but more famously Wayne's World.
Yeah, Penelope Spheris, I think.
Spheris, yeah, Penelope Spheris. What a career.
Mhm.
What a fucking weird career.
Wayne's World rules. I like Wayne's World.
I like Suburbia, even though I recognize that it's, you know.
I haven't seen Suburbia in a while. I liked it when I saw it,
You
but it
saw
is.
it recently, Tom.
Did I?
Oh, no. Oh, so I did a We Just Watched for it, but I did it with Hannah because you were out during
Oh,
that.
right.
It is.
That's the Linklater one, right? No, wait. No, we were just talking about it.
Yeah, this is the Linklater
this
one
director.
is. Yeah, the Suburbia one is the one that has fucking like the Vandals in it, and
is that the one with
it's,
Giovanni Ribisi?
No,
Damn
that's
it.
the Linklater one.
That's the Linklater
Yeah.
one. Okay.
It's this is the one with Flea in it because it's again it was this thing where Flea was in, it was like by law he was in every movie in the 90s, and it was like, or this was 80s, sorry, but that's when I realized he was the drummer for Fear, because I was like, why the fuck is Flea here? And then I found out like, oh, he's in the punk scene.
Flea is my favorite part of the Red Hot Chili Peppers.
Sure.
Let me rephrase. My only favorite part.
I was
of Red
about to
Hot
say he's the only thing I know about that that band.
Yeah, this movie is good, but it's not good, but it's good. It is so of its time in the whole, let's take something from 30 years ago and remake it into a movie. That was
the
all
thing
the
that
rage.
the thing that like really stood out this time, and I know it was like, this is the joke, but if I was like someone from Appalachia or something, I'd watch this and be like, I feel offended because it's like they don't know what bowling is, and I'm like, everybody, like, bowling is a like, it's not a city thing, like it's not a hotshot LA thing to go bowling. They are making them just aliens, like they just don't know what anything is. To this ridiculous point. It's great.
Reminds me of when I was a teacher, and that one of the things that people would really impress upon, like what your expectations are as an educator, is there are still large chunks of this country that do not have access to the internet. Don't have like readily available internet. And that, to me, like, I understand, like, that sucks. That's awful. And in my head, I'm like, but how is that possible? And so, like, you know, with the idea of like everybody knows what bowling is, and then I'm like, do they? Is there like a
I think
group
they
of
do.
people that never
though.
leave their fucking shack in their
they're
middle
like
of nowhere?
They're like the family in the fucking Home episode of X-Files. Like these they're like Texas Chainsaw Massacre territory, these Beverly Hillbillies.
Yeah.
They're just like, I don't know. It's a hard sell.
Can we take a moment to actually reflect on how brilliant of an idea the Beverly Hillbillies is?
All right.
Like,
Sure.
honestly, like at the time, I'm not talking about 1993, but like 19 what?
In the
58
60s.
or whatever. Like how absolutely genius that idea is. I think about that all the time. Not all the time, but a lot. Is like when you
But
think
frequently.
a
Once a day.
very unique, like old sitcoms that weren't really able to build off of things. Bewitched, for example, like stuff like that, where you're thinking about it, you're like, how did somebody come up with this? And they were like, send it right to TV. Let's go.
Oh yeah.
Like that is super brilliant. And I know it's fish out of water, and I get it.
Yeah, but it works. This also, I don't know, this trailer, I laughed when this fucking grandma hit her
Oh,
head.
yeah. This,
I was just like,
of course.
that still works
Horace
on
Leach,
me.
yeah.
I still enjoy
Hell
that.
yeah.
Yeah.
I'm going to laugh. Old lady gets knocked out out of
Yeah.
the back of a
Cloris
car.
Leachman, who's been old her
who
entire
was
life.
50 or 75 in that movie. No,
Yeah, there's no way.
Possible to tell.
yeah, like when you look at like, you know, Dabney Coleman is in it. Obviously, he's a sort of villain. Obviously,
Rob Schneider is in
Rob
this.
Schneider and Leah Thompson play a couple,
Yeah.
which
That's dark.
It's
That
a
is-
bummer, yeah.
poor
it's a
Leah
real bummer.
Thompson. I love how
It's like it's like her with Howard the Duck.
right?
Yeah.
He is
Just as
Howard the
bad.
Duck, right?
He is Howard. He's the human Howard the Duck.
Hey, I'm Howard the Duck. Yeah, get it?
Just totally repellent in every way.
I always remember the joke of her being the little French woman and saying, happiness is so hard to find.
That's in this one. No,
Did they
wait,
put that in
is
the
it?
trailer? I don't think they
No,
put it
that's
in
in.
the trailer.
I thought that was in Hot Shots.
No, it's in this. Happiness is so hard to find. And he's like, excuse me? She's like,
Are we
happiness.
sure
And he
that's
goes,
on Hot Shots?
Oh, happiness. No, because it's absolutely
I knew that joke.
yeah.
The
It's a
joke
great
may
joke.
well be in Hot Shots as well.
Yeah, but it is very much in Beverly Hillbillies. I remember it very specifically.
Okay.
Diedrich Bader playing Jethro. Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Like hell to the yeah.
Oh yeah, it's perfect.
And having Erica Eleniak, she had a good go. You know, she was in
Yeah,
Under
the early
Siege.
'90s. Yeah,
This is her-
Under Siege,
She was an Under
Bordello
Siege,
of
top
Blood.
tier.
Oh,
Then
yeah.
this, then Bordello of Blood's at the bottom.
Sure. Yeah, she did E.T. a couple of years before this.
I'm ready to watch Bordeaux of Blood again. I think. I know it's darkness, but I'm ready.
Yeah, I think it's time.
Or Bordello
Yeah.
of Blood.
It's time to revisit Bordello of Blood.
Yeah.
Okay, Chachi.
Okay, Chachi. Oh yeah, we
He had a
watched that
very
on a
small
movie night
window.
because I remember
We did.
Sure
we
did.
just kept chachiing the whole time. You
Oh,
gotta
yeah,
my
we
neck
do.
there, chachi.
It's the only way to survive Bordello of Blood. It's like going limp in a car accident.
I have to talk about this next movie. I've
Sure.
been waiting so long to talk about Malice.
Oh man,
We love
Malice. We love Malice here.
Malice. This is from the writer Aaron Sorkin and
Uh-huh.
a few others. It's from the director of Domestic Disturbance.
Boy, that guy. We
I
look at that
grew up-
guy's. It's like, is this
Hell yeah.
your whole vein, dude?
I knew about this movie for so long before I had seen it because I grew up in Northampton, Massachusetts, where this was shot. The exteriors. So for the longest time, there was a bridge that just said Boston and Maine on it for a railway, and it was like, is that really Boston and Maine? And it's like, no, they just painted it for the movie, and then no one got rid of it because it was like, yeah, fuck it. What are we gonna do? Take it down?
And to point
Sweet.
at.
Malice permanently disfigured your hometown.
It did, and like people,
Maliciously.
yeah, it was just always there staring at us.
Maliciously.
The memory of Malice
Of
was
Malice.
looking at us.
That seems like a
You guys-
curse, right? We have a memento of malice in our town. That's a Stephen King ass thing, especially with
The-
the bridge saying Maine on it.
Oh
Um,
yeah. So while the world forgot Malice, I never did.
So the plot of this movie, and in my head, I cannot stop thinking about Roger
spoilers.
Ebert's review of this, which is the plot of this movie is implausible. Like this would
Yeah.
never. The plot of this movie
So-
would never happen.
The premise is that this was they reference it in 30 Rock, which I love because they do the thing where Jack talks all his misdeeds and he says, I once said I am God during a deposition, because this is the movie of that, right? With he plays a doctor who accidentally through malpractice removes Nicole Kidman's ability to have kids, and he's sued, and then it's more twisty than that. It's a twisty mystery thriller, so that's as much as I will say. Bill Pullman is there.
Who their credit they give Bill Pullman is a league of their own.
So that's the wildest part about this trailer.
This trailer's, yeah.
It doesn't know it's like Alec Baldwin from these movies and Bill Pullman from this and Nicole Kidman. It's like, you don't have to tell me where they're from.
Well,
And then
I know
You,
where
you
they're
love
have
when
to
it
tell
gets
where
to-
Nicole Kidman is from at this time,
Yeah.
and maybe
I think
Bill
Pullman too. I love that when they get to Anne Bancroft and George C. Scott, they just don't say anything.
They're like,
Which
Yes,
I
because
get-
they're the most famous people.
I
At the
understand.
time.
I understand why, but like free of context, in the year of our Lord 2023, when like a teen will watch this and not know who the fuck they are, it seems very funny. Like
Yeah.
it
By the
seems
way,
like they
yeah.
just didn't bother. And these two who didn't do anything in notes, we're not even going to tell you.
yeah,
You know who
They
else
did.
is in this fucking movie? Gwyneth Paltrow.
sure.
Sure.
And Peter Gallagher and Tobin Bell. This movie's stacked.
Gwyneth
we saw,
but it's
we saw
again,
Peter
it's stacked with people
in the trailer.
Yeah.
Right. It's people who weren't them yet. And it's just so weird. Nicole Kidman, though, if I'm not mistaken, she was, I believe,
She was
with
already
Tom
she was already
Cruise.
married to
Several
Tom
Tom Cruise
Cruise at
movies.
this.
Yeah, the
point,
reason I
yeah.
know that is because people freaked out because she had dinner with Tom Cruise while making this movie in Northampton. They were like, "Oh my god!"
And then they went to Harold's for some ice cream.
Yeah, they did. It's just very yeah. I don't know. Alec Baldwin. Surely he was famous by now, right?
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
he was
but he was
already
famous. They
Beetlejuice.
just-
Like
They just
Yeah.
did that. That's like a marketing thing.
Hunt for
They
Red
did.
October.
They're naming their past big hits so that you'll go. Oh, it's a good
It's just
movie. I'll go
funny,
see
yeah.
it. Yeah,
I like
it's just a
that-
thing they did.
Most movies in this era have a dash of Gwyneth Paltrow in them.
Yeah,
Like a
just
sprinkling. Yeah,
Yeah,
she's,
just
she's,
a
she's
little
garnished
sprinkling.
a
roughly
severed head or two,
throughout
if you
the
will.
decade. Yeah.
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 Let's move on.
I want to watch Malice now so bad,
Should,
and
yeah.
like just
The
we could
cool-
do it on movie night, but I can just
The
watch
M
it.
on my hat is for
Yeah, Jeff Malice.
Malice.
There was
It's not a good movie night because it's kind of slow. It's more like
This would be a
We've watched it
terrible
on-
movie night movie.
we have watched it on movie night.
No, have we?
Yes, that's the most recent time we've watched it. But the great thing about Malice is I never remember what happens in Malice.
Oh yeah,
So-
it erases your memory.
You're
at the
right.
end every
It's not a
time.
movie that it's like Paycheck.
The-
You got
the thing about-
Sonnenfelded.
I know the twist of Malice, but the thing about this movie is that it goes a lot slower because there's no action really. It's really just like kind of a noir
conversations, yeah.
thriller. Yeah. So it's not a let's all get together and watch Malice type of movie. Although I do
But
encourage
it
all the teens
is
out there
a
to
let's
do
all
that.
get together and watch Malice type of movie. You can serve wine and cheese.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you'd have to serve really like waspy things.
Yes.
As part of this
Yeah.
series, like everybody in this movie is beautiful and well off.
You know what? Let's all get together and watch Malice.
Let's
The
do
three
it.
of us.
Yeah.
Just like no one else there.
Tom, fly out.
Yeah. No.
We'll fly to you.
Yeah.
Either way.
Let's do it.
Let's watch Malice. Dinner party. Malice dinner
Hell
party.
yeah.
Malice Destination Cruise.
Yeah. God, I want it. Cool Runnings?
Yeah.
This was
oh man.
This took the nation by storm.
Yeah.
Man, yeah, this is a huge hit. I loved this movie.
John Turteltaub.
Yeah, John Turteltaub, director of National Treasure.
Hell yeah.
I mean,
making a national treasure.
If Disney's making a live action movie, get you some Turtle Top to get some sell some ticks.
Yeah. I remember more or less how this ends. I remember fucking loving this movie as a kid. I haven't seen it in so long that I don't remember much else. And I just feel like I should leave it there in my memory.
Oh, well,
Like-
I have this movie damn near memorized.
Right.
I think it still holds up. I mean, there's a few dated things. It's not, if you're worried about it being like dated, it isn't
no,
really.
It's more of like I'm worried about like, oh, the jokes aren't as good because I'm not a
well,
kid.
yeah,
you know?
they're kind of
like
corny.
where-
They're going to be
kinda
little
corny
silly Jamaican fish out of water jokes.
PG
Yeah, where
rated
I'm like,
jokes.
I
you
don't
know.
need to watch it again because I have it up there in the head in my joy bucket.
Yeah,
and it's
and this
like,
is-
you know,
This
like-
has God.
I was just gonna say, like Rudy, I know that they've like embellished a lot of the true life events. But I
Well,
like
yeah.
this. I like this movie. So
I mean, it's all
I know I need
based
to
around.
I don't know. I need to revisit Rudy, but
It's-
yeah. Anyway,
It's based around a premise that I don't think is that silly, where they're like a Jamaican bobsled team, and I'm like, I don't know. I'm sure that like, I'm sure they can like practice there with, like, I think they do it. They like put wheels on it.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like I sure, you know, like I like even as a kid, I was like, I don't think
right? Like
that's that weird.
as a kid,
Yeah.
I did wonder about that because I would think like, well, sure, it would be tough for them to train at home, but it seriously, this movie made me start thinking about like, well, what do you have to do to be in the bobsled, right? Because we don't.
Right.
Where does the American team train? And like, I started thinking about like,
Lake Placid.
so what are like the I know, but like what are like the rules for getting about like this movie really made me start to think about like what like the rules for the Olympics were in terms
Yeah.
of how you could get a team
Also,
somewhere.
In the true story, apparently the Jamaican team was just met with open arms. No one cared. People were like, "Cool."
Yeah, they
Yeah,
knew
they-
there was
I
no
know they
threat,
do.
You know, like what? But this is
Yeah.
also
Well, they amp up a lot of like the opposition in the movie.
Yeah.
Anyway, sorry.
this is
Yeah.
also indicative of that fear that you have when you remember something as being great, and you're like, I don't want to find out this is racist.
Oh yeah,
There's so much potential for like playful racism around this time, where you're just like, I haven't want to scratch that surface.
Right. I haven't rewatched this recently enough to like emphatically say,
like, there very well could be a scene where John Candy is in brown face with like a mop on his head to simulate dreads. And
I know he says
as a bit, and you're just like, oh man, I didn't want to.
I know he says like, yeah man, or no problem man in a Jamaican accent at one point, but I don't think he does brown face or a wig or anything.
And also, I wouldn't go so far as to even call that.
Depends on context.
Well,
right?
I mean, I know. I will say that like the movie deals with racism in the movie because the team. Again, apparently this wasn't the truth of it, but they do play up like the white racers being like, what the hell are these guys doing here, you know? And so they do they do address the racism aspect of it. So it would be, I remember those scenes. Yeah. I haven't watched it recently enough to say whether or not there's like an embarrassing ass trading places scene.
Yeah.
Man, it would be so funny if Iceland just takes out a thing and be like, did we do something wrong to you, Disney? Have we done anything wrong to be systematically portrayed as the villains in every one of your live? Like we're Iceland. We're not like Germany. We don't even have a history of doing rough stuff, man. Come on.
But that's why, right? Where they're like, I don't know, who can we just like,
who can we pick on?
Who's not going to say anything about it?
Take him down a peg.
Like that Reykjavik.
I need to go back to the bobsledding of it all because I can't stress this enough. Bobsledding doesn't feel like it needs to be a winter sport. It feels like it doesn't involve winter at all. It's basically just like an alpine slide. Like it's just because the traction of the ice, right? Or the lack of traction. But it's just like, I don't understand. Like, how did they get away with making this like, this is a winter thing? It's like, no, you made a roller coaster.
Because it's a lot more easily accessible to do it during the winter.
When it's actually cold outside, it's like way cheaper and more efficient.
But it's just like a wagon with wheels.
Maintain a bobsled track.
Yeah. Plus, by not having wheels, I have a feeling that's a lot safer.
Yeah. I also like, this might be controversial. I feel like it kind of conned its way into being a sport. Like, I feel like you stick me in a bobsled, I'm getting to the bottom one way or another, right? It might not be pretty, but I'll get there.
That's actually a pretty. I've seen stand up talking about that a lot, where they do the same with skeleton. Skeleton is a downhill sport that's like solo bobsledding, where you're just on this like you're basically on like a couple wheels on your back going down, and somebody's like,
oh yeah.
They're like, that can't be impossible to finish. You might not be alive crossing the finish line, but
yeah, you'll get there.
You're gonna complete it. Yeah.
I mean, it's that said, this is the coolest Olympic sport, right?
Yeah, it's awesome.
There's no other.
No, fucking judo.
No, it's this.
Mix them.
Yeah.
Did they do crescent kicks? Like is like
I know judo, which is also I believe in.
It's like rad karate.
I think karate sled is what we need.
Yeah, you just it's like sort of like jousting. You have three guys driving and then one guy like hanging out, getting ready to kick the guy coming by.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Let's make it happen.
I like this.
See, this is why I want to know the rules of how you field an Olympic team so we can field our karate bobsled team.
Gamefully unliving after we try our first bobsled.
With an attitude like that.
That was the number 2. This in October 1993. This is the number 2 film. Most audiences were like, "This is what we want." Yes, but what would number 1 be?
I'll tell you what. For all the movies I haven't watched in this, I've watched this one enough times
to make up for all the others.
All of it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
This is Demolition Man.
Yes. And a great pinball machine.
I just looked up the
director. It's just great all around. It's great all around.
I'm like kind of shocked that the director of this didn't really he made Excess Baggage. Remember that?
Oh, hell yeah. I sure do. Yeah.
He made Dinotopia, the TV series, but like he hasn't, how do you make, I guess he was like, I did it. I made the perfect film.
Right.
There's no reason to.
Yeah.
What are you going to do? What are you going to do following Demolition Man? Judge Dredd?
Yeah. He's done like things after, but they're all like smaller films. They might not even be American films. And again, that's fine.
Can we add that Rob
'cause it's-
Schneider still busy in '93?
It's the year of Schneider
Really
so-
busy, yeah.
Yeah. We
This
were
is
trying
his
out Rob
second
Schneider
appearance.
this year too.
and Dennis Leary.
Comedy.
Yeah, this movie is a good movie.
And Glenn Shaddix, he's in this one and in Nightmare Before
Yeah.
Christmas.
I do have the Glenn Shaddix Assistant Bob trading card perched on
Yeah, you
my
do.
autographed Dunstan Checks In
Hell yeah.
promotional still from Glenn
That's
Shaddix.
so good.
I will add that on an I Must Break You this recent month, I did open a pack of Demolition Man trading cards.
That's so
And I got a
good.
Joel Silver card.
Fuck yes.
I got
Is he just in a cloud of white mist?
I got a Joel Silver cloud. I got a card. I got the director who it's like
Marco Beltrami, I think.
Yeah.
Right.
I got his card. I got one card that's just an eyeball on the surgical tool.
Oh, nice.
Morgan Smithers eyeball, man.
I got one that's
Yeah.
just the chair. Just the lockdown chair. Like
Yeah, I
there
do.
I
Teddy
opened a
bear.
pack of like 7 or 9 cards, and like half of them were like, here's a prop. Like,
Well, yeah.
Here's a
Imagine being the
producer.
person who's doing the cards for Demolition Man. They're like, we need like 500 of these, and they're like, fuck.
nope,
okay.
there's so much to do though. You got a
Yeah.
Jesse
Yeah, and
Ventura card.
one of those things is
Yeah, you
Joel
could do
Silver.
a Jack
Joel
Black
Silver.
card. Yeah.
I really want a box of that now.
I have
wanna
a
see
feeling those are
everything.
affordable.
You're like, who wants the Demolition Man cards apart
I mean,
from
we
me?
do.
Yeah.
I mean,
Now that I've put this out, somebody's gonna just
look, guys, send
price
me.
is gonna go way up on eBay or something.
Why don't you? Wow, you can get the set very
I
affordably.
want the set. I want the thrill of opening it and seeing Joel Silver.
So that's gonna set you back. It seems like the boxes are going roughly 60. That
Yeah.
seems high.
So
Yeah.
If I'm being
Demolition
100%
Man.
honest, that seems high.
A little too much for Demolition Man.
Yeah.
This movie is
I
awesome.
think of this. Yeah, I think this movie, like, I don't know if this is a perfect comparison. Something like The Matrix. It's hard because The Matrix was the first of its kind, so I don't quite like that comparison. But you know what I mean, where it's like where you can see them lighting then a League of Extraordinary Gentlemen and being like, is this going to work? And they're like, fucking, I don't know. The Matrix worked. We didn't think that was going to work. Like, this is nonsense. I guess because it has Sylvester Stallone, people should know this is clearly going to be more of a hit. But like,
It's
It's
Stop or
just-
My Mom Will Shoot was not that far.
oh, that's a
prior.
good point.
And
yeah,
Oscar.
it's just
Like,
it's why
Yeah, the aforementioned Oscar.
Star Wars is another example where it's like then all the movies that came out around then where you're like, why did they make this? And it's like, well, because they saw Star Wars and they're like, that was a bunch of gibberish, but that worked out.
Yeah.
This is that, right? Where they like this made it big and they're like, fuck, man, I don't know what people want anymore.
you have to
'Cause this is-
remember too that Stallone was still a huge star, but this was probably the bleakest period of his career.
He
Yeah,
has
but
he
this-
has one more hit after this with
Judge
Cliffhanger.
Oh, sorry.
So
But
yeah,
then,
this
like,
isn't
yeah,
that
in,
bleak
in,
then.
in between like 93 and like Schwarzenegger too is about to hit a real rough patch. All the action guys do in the mid to late
Eraser's
90s.
gonna hit,
Yeah.
and then he's gonna be like, maybe I fist fight the devil. What about that?
Would you like to see that?
Yeah.
Would you
My name
like
is
that?
Jericho Kane. I'm so biblical.
What if I remake Total Recall and call it a different name? What about that?
Hmm.
We'll call it the
Is he
Sixth
in
Day or
that one?
something.
Oh no, I see what you're saying.
Yeah, so like it is funny that they're like we gotta make something stick. These guys are still like super famous. They're like still huge, and this just showed up, and young Sandy Bullock.
Oh,
Like-
she's never been bad. She's always been good.
This is in a way, I think this might be my favorite Stallone.
Yeah, I it might be mine
It's
too.
one of my
because
favorite movies.
I think I
This
like it
is
more than
so-
Rocky 4.
This is the thing. Stallone did mostly a different thing than Schwarzenegger. Schwarzenegger, as we've learned in our podcast about him, he did a lot of weird high concept shit. And you don't think about it until you go back and watch it. And you're like, yeah, everything he did was like a sci-fi film that didn't even need to be a Schwarzenegger film. Stallone, I feel like, stayed away from that for the most part. And this felt like his version of that, where he's like, you know what? I can do like a weird, fucked up,
but he
fucking
really
Running Man
he didn't
bullshit.
do too many high concept things. You're right.
No,
because
and
Schwarzenegger took him. Like, the thing people seem to forget is just how fucking brilliant Schwarzenegger was. And Stallone's great actor, great writer. Medium actor, I guess. But great.
He's pretty good when he wants to be.
I'm not a Stallone person, and what I mean by that is like not the way I am Schwarzenegger, right?
Schwarzenegger
and
is
a lot of it
much more clever.
Well, a lot of it's for the reason I'm saying, which is that like I'm into Schwarzenegger films without even realizing it. And what I mean by that is I'm a fan of Predator and Terminator, and like I'm fans of the things that he's in.
Yeah, well, he's incredibly clever. And like he knows, I think he's really good at knowing what people are going to want generally. And he's open to taking risks. Like there's the famous story of like because of the like friendly rivalry between him and Stallone, he tricked Stallone into taking Stop or My Mom Will Shoot by pretending he wanted it.
Yes.
And like and stuff like that, where like he knew that was a bomb. Stallone doesn't know what's going to be a bomb, and Schwarzenegger tended to know.
Yeah, can you imagine being the writer of that film, by the way, and learning that, like...
Right, because at the time, you're like, boy, Schwarzenegger and Stallone are fighting over my movie.
Bragging about it at Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
Bit of a bidding war going on.
From the director of The Sixth Day, by the way. So he got Schwarzenegger eventually. Yeah, and now I realize he did... he did Judge Dredd right after this. So Stallone must have...
So that's why The Sixth Day feels like revenge.
Yeah, exactly. No, like Stallone, this was a hit, so he's like, I guess I will do the sci-fi stuff. And he did Demolition Man, and it was like, never mind.
Oh, you mean Judge Dredd?
Although...
Well,
Judge Dredd. I do like to think that he was like, me and Rob Schneider, it's our chemistry that made Demolition Man.
Well, I mean, it's
good.
Absolutely why he picked him, because he thought he was funny in Demolition Man. So he's
like,
okay, so here's what I'm going to say about Rob Schneider in 1993. Certainly not Rob Schneider
in 2023.
2023. Every piece of information that I have received from him is that he was a delight on set. That everybody liked him on set.
Oh,
and at this time, I was just not to brag, but I was at the 30th anniversary of Surf Ninjas at Be Kind Video with Ernie Reyes Jr. and Nicholas Cowan.
It's kind of a brag, but yeah,
it's a little bit of a brag. But continue.
Brag. Do I have a signed VHS copy by both of them? Yes, I do. Nick Cowan said, "Oh, like Rob Schneider spent a lot of time just like doing bits with me, having fun, helping me with my lines." He's like, I don't speak about who he is now, but back then there was no better person to have as my sort of movie mentor. Apparently people really like him back then.
I don't want to be mean, but I'm going to be mean to Rob Schneider. I think that's ultimately what happened. What I mean by that is like, when people are like, how do they keep making all these bad Adam Sandler films? The reason why is because he makes them under budget and he's really polite and good to be around and everybody likes him.
He's the most liked person in Hollywood.
Yeah, and I think that's ultimately why Rob Schneider was in things during this time where they're like, yeah, he says the lines, it's kind of funny, kids laugh, and he's likable, but he was never... Like he's just there, right? He's never good.
No, he's the
like
pressure
he never
release
blew me
valve
away.
is what he is.
He's fine in a well, okay. Again, but speaking about him at this time, this is how he was best utilized. He is fine in a role like Demolition Man.
Yeah, but he is aggressively replaceable, I guess is my point.
Yeah, but
where they're like, we could stick another guy in here in a second.
I don't agree,
and that's why he's like a nice guy. And I think the moment he stopped being a nice guy, he's like, I don't get work anymore. And it's like, yeah, because I mean, it's not, the equation isn't working anymore. Like, that's my guess, at least.
I don't agree that he was replaceable in 1993. I think the characters he plays are decidedly Rob Schneider, as in they were very funny, snarky, because it was like that level of like snark, and also the fact that he was like tiny. And
in this movie, he's literally playing what everybody else is doing.
No, he's
like
not.
that's the thing. He is. He's just like, I'm happy-go-lucky future.
No,
future
he's
cuck.
the snarky
cucks.
version of that, though. He's the one with the slightly sarcastic edge. He's like, he doesn't know how to do the
guess
3C
so,
stuff.
yeah.
And everybody else is all a bunch of Pollyannas in the future. You know, they're like very base. And he brings, God, I hate saying this sentence. Rob Schneider brings an edge. Woof. But I do think that at this time, if you look at like the characters he played in Home Alone 2 and this, and even Judge Dredd and Beverly Hillbillies, like it's all very much that like slimy yet affable, like in Surf Ninjas, which also came out this year. Like he's slimy and likable at the same time and can shift to either one more easily. Like in Judge Dredd, he's a victim of the circumstance. He's a victim of the times. And so he's much more earnest in his likability. Whereas in Home Alone 2, he's a group of assholes. He's unlikable. It depends on, he was a good chameleon to a point with what he was bringing to the table. And he's also a bad person.
Yeah, I just think you could also shove
avoided.
David Spade or Dana Carvey in there personally. Like I don't see him as
I disagree though. And I know it doesn't do the point, but like Dana Carvey's too low energy sarcastic.
I just see him the same way like when what's his fucking name? We just talked about Bordello of Blood. Like when Dennis Miller had a few movies. It was like, yeah, it's
like
fine,
a Miller,
but it's
a
not
Miller
like...
David Spade type, and I apologize to David Spade for lumping him together with Dennis Miller. They're too caustic for Demolition Man, right? Because they're too self-aware.
Put them in this.
So,
I'm just saying that
I see what you're saying. Yeah. Anyway, we spent way too much time talking on Rob Schneider.
Not enough. Not nearly enough time. And maybe this is, and it came to me as we're talking about that these SNL guys that had like one major hit character or one major hit skill that might have translated at the time very specifically.
For sure. And I mean, that's a big part of, Mike Myers and stuff like that, where it's like they kind of had this window and then it's like, do you evolve comedically or not? Honestly, I don't care. Like they can do either. It's fine. But I would argue also, we forget about this, but Rob Schneider really had his time in the early 2000s when comedy was terrible.
Yeah, when they were making,
he was like, "Now's my time
the
to
animal
shine."
and the hot chick,
when it was indistinguishable. Yeah, it was. All comedy was that bad, and he could just slip right in there.
I'm not gonna lie, I do like Deuce Bigelow, Male Gigolo.
Never seen it. Never seen it.
I do not hate it. I
remember having good jokes in it when I saw it, but I haven't seen it in 20 years, and I'm not going to.
Amy Poehler with Tourette's is,
I mean, that's a good pitch right there.
It's a surprisingly, there's a reason it got a sequel. It's a surprisingly charming and likable movie starring a surprisingly uncharming and unlikable person.
Yeah. I haven't seen a single Rob Schneider.
The actual funniest person in Demolition Man might be Bob Gunton.
Oh, he's great.
In terms of like skill, yeah. I guess so.
Oh, Benjamin Bratt's great in it.
Funny.
Yeah.
No, I just mean in terms of the character, but I was gonna say Wesley Snipes. Wesley Snipes is fucking great in this movie.
He's having a blast.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that was, I think I had a friend whose computer password was Boggle, and his hint was "What's my blank."
Nice. Wesley Snipes. This is maybe a little controversial. I feel like if you don't have him, this movie wouldn't work.
You need somebody. You need somebody like
who is equally,
This is literally techno-futuristic Batman and the Joker.
Now that I'm looking at the cast, I feel bad. I feel like Stallone is the least vital actor.
He's
like
pretty good.
Sandra Bullock, he's good. Don't get me wrong, but it's like you just need like a straight man. Basically, you just need like a beefcake straight man.
You need a guy that looks like he's got a little higher percentage of caveman in him.
Yeah, yes, that helps for sure.
That's they call him. I think they even call him.
Oh yeah.
So like that idea with like he's got that like strong forehead.
No, he's definitely the perfect person to cast in that role for sure.
Oh, yeah.
But it's a lot of him reacting to other actors giving these very unique performances.
Yeah, like, if this was, think about it now, like take an action star now, take like The Rock. If he was playing Demolition Man, I don't think it would be as good.
I could see Statham doing it a little bit, but he's like a different type of angry, you know?
Yeah. He'd be like,
He's like
the hunk of chunka,
wiry.
the wild
No, I feel like
Yeah,
you'd cast Statham as Simon Phoenix.
Ooh, give him the hair. Give him the same
Give him
hair.
the same exact
Put a wig
hair.
on him.
Because he fucking kicks people too. Like,
Yeah,
Simon
he
Phoenix.
loves kicking people. Have the same like record scratching when he beats
Yeah,
people
yeah.
up.
That's actually that's a song on the soundtrack. It's called Simon Says,
Oh, amazing.
where they play
That
clips
fucking
from the movie in
record
it.
scratching.
Hell yeah. Okay, look,
Oh, man.
honestly, I know we
Great
talked a
movie.
lot about this, but I'm okay with it because it's amazing.
Right, it's
Yeah.
the best movie ever.
We
It's
should
Demolition
keep
Man.
going though. We should keep
Yeah,
moving.
we should keep moving. Let's
Sure.
get
All
on
right.
to some news stories.
All right, let's thank some producers. Big ol' thank you to Deborah's Awesome, Barbara's Great, and Cancer Can Go to Hell, 93. Thank you to Dracula, the bus driving, 93 Vampire.
Thank you.
Thank you to Driftless Says, Long Live the New Flesh,
Thank you.
1993. Thank you to E.T., the Extravagant Terrestrial, 93.
Thank you.
Thank you to Exploding, 93 Runes.
Thank you so much.
Thank you to Funky J, mostly comes out at 1993, mostly.
Thank you.
Thank you to Heathcliff's 93 Helping Handfuls.
Thank you.
Thank you to ImpossibleWorlds.net. Issue 3 is out now. Gorge yourself on our fiction, Gorge 93.
Thank you.
Thank you to Chris Sean 93 Avich.
Thank you.
Thank you to Lookma. I'm on a podcast in 1993. Thank you.
All right, thank you to Mabel. Step on 93. Step
1993.
on me. Thank you to Mackenzie. Fuck shuffling with Willem Dafoe's confusingly large dick. Chill 93.
Thank you.
Thank you to Mercurial Laws 93.
93.
Thank you to Mike the Lurker 93.
Thank you.
Thank you to Mongolian Throat Skanking 93.
Thank you.
Thank you to Mr. Tell Your Wife How Many Patreon subscriptions you have 93 before you agree to
Thank
buy a house.
you.
Thank you to musical guest Rob Ritchie 93.
93.
Thank you to No One Can
Thank
Hear
you.
You Scream and Space McNulty 93.
Thank you.
Thank you to Norm from Cheers 93.
Thank you.
And thank you to Pete Vorpagel 93.
93. All right. What do we got here? Disney VFX workers are voting to unionize. Finally, we've been like keeping up with this. Like it feels like they kept saying they're going to unionize, but it's all these different like groups.
Well, now they're voting to unionize, and
Yeah,
that's a
I hope
good
they
idea.
unionize, and then they're like, "Cool, we're on strike."
I'm sure that's
Good.
probably
Fucking
let 'em
going
do it.
to happen. Yeah.
I'm okay with it.
Yeah.
We can
Oh,
wait.
yeah.
Gentlemen and folks listening at home, we can fucking wait.
Yeah, we can wait for the Moana live action.
Yeah,
it's
please
fine.
make us wait for the Moana live action.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was unanimously to
I love-
unionize.
I do love the order in which this keeps happening, which is like, I think it works. It was like the writers, and they're like, fuck, okay, we can't write movies. The actors, and they're like, "Ugh, no actors. And then they got the writers, and they're like, cool, we can write it. And the actors, and then they're going to get the visual effects, so they like can't do post. And it's like every step of the way is slowly unionizing, and hopefully going on strike. But yeah, good for them.
Good
for your
them. I hope
rights.
they do.
To live.
Yeah.
And party.
They want money. And, good.
You should,
Speaking
you
of,
should still guard your right to party.
oh yeah, you got
Yes.
yeah, absolutely. Related slightly was this Mean Girls thing that happened. Paramount released Mean Girls
Oh,
in
yeah.
23 parts on TikTok, which was cute. It was like, oh, and then someone pointed out immediately, like, yeah, it's so they don't pay any residuals.
Yeah, they're doing this
I
because
mean-
they're exploiting a loophole.
Yeah,
but-
It's like they're testing the new contract where they're like, I bet we could do this without paying them.
yeah, I do think that you wonder if that is a purposeful choice for them to do it, or if it's just like, oh yeah, this didn't matter.
I'm sure it influenced the decision because otherwise
Yeah.
they would have had to pay these people residuals.
You could. So here's the thing.
Like if they had to pay to do this, I guarantee they wouldn't have.
Yes, I don't think this is going to hurt anyone.
No.
And what I mean by that is people are going to see part 15 and just go, oh, I should rent Mean Girls. Like no one's going to like watch it on TikTok and be like, haha, I was going to rent it, but now I'm not. It's still like, it's like way to draw attention to this fact. It's like, they
Right,
should be
yeah.
paying residuals for this, right?
Yeah, I'm sure they didn't come out like this. The genesis of this plan was not how can we screw people over. I'm
Right.
sure they just found, oh, this would be cute if we did it on October 3rd because that's the Mean Girls thing, and we can do it this way. And hey, if we do it this way, we don't have to pay anybody.
Exactly. But I keep thinking about like Elon over there, like put things on Twitter video and perfect
Right,
Elon
and then
impression.
they don't. They just
And
don't.
Nobody's doing it, but it's like if someone does that, will they have to get to? If if they put fucking Sound of Freedom or whatever on there, does that mean they're not going to pay the residuals to the people who made that?
I would assume
movie?
Elon Musk is not interested in paying residual to
No,
anybody.
the point being that like this might be the start of them finding a new loophole, right?
It's the length of the clip.
Okay.
It's the rule that they're exploiting is when you
29 seconds or something.
Something like that. It's intended to be used for when you're showing a clip on like a talk show.
Right. I'm just waiting for them to be like, it's the new streaming service that shows your movie in 29-second clips in succession.
Yeah.
I actually think it's not necessarily even the talk show thing because that's considered promotional. I think it's review stuff. Like I think it's like there's a fair use thing for a certain amount of time.
That's a different thing.
When
you're
doing that, right?
That's to avoid a copyright strike.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Oh, okay.
This is for like residual payment. If you're like publicly screening a clip from this movie, then you got to pay the people.
We should publicly screen a clip from this movie.
We should show Mean Girls.
Yeah.
23 parts.
Yeah. No.
I do like this movie,
30
though.
parts. Let's make the clips.
Mean
shorter.
Girls is a pretty. I mean, it's
a good
dated in
movie.
a lot of spots, but it's still pretty sweet.
Yeah.
I enjoy it.
Yeah,
love
the
Mean Girls.
spots are that it's dated at. They're not even that dated, really. Are they?
I mean, maybe I haven't rewatched it in a bit, but anyway.
Yeah.
Mean Girls.
That's it for news stories. Do we want to just keep this hype train going?
Yeah, let's keep this hype train a choo-chooing.
All right. We got some more producers to thank.
Let's do it.
Big old thank you to Numenal, Ultra Microscopic Silico, Volcano Coniosis 93, Anti-Disestablishmentarianism Jones.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you to Pre-Order 93, TikTok superstar Jason Barges' new book, Zoe is Too Drunk for This Dystopia. Pre-orders are super important.
Thank you.
Thank you to Pumpkin Ed
Thank you.
93. Thank you to Rev 93 MD.
93.
Thank you to Ricky Cilantro
93.
93.
93, baby.
Thank you to Rosemary's 1993 Baby from Eraserhead.
93.
Thank you. Thank you to Screaming Horse 1993 Pyramid. Thank you to Sorry Cop, world's most laughable 1993 centrist.
1993.
Thank you to Steed 93 Finn.
Thank
you. Thank you to the Autopsy of J. Crow 93 Ka.
93.
Thank you to the conveniently placed self-destruct button 93 on the top of every baby's head 93.
Thank you. That was my impression of a crow.
Nice.
You were great.
Thank you to the Midnight Patron. Patrons at midnight. 93, baby, 93.
Thank you.
Thank you to the Oatmeal Savage. 93.
93.
Thank you to the producer formerly known as the Ghost of Dave Thomas. 93.
Thank you.
Thank you to the To Be Terror Bunny. Says support workers. Egg David Zaslav. 1993. Thank you to these 7 Bs. 93.
These
Thank
93
you.
Bs.
Thank you to Tiger Doors Pratt Thompson. Raindrops keep falling on my head. 93.
93.
Thank you to Tip Drizzle. 1993.
Thank you.
Thank you to Tux. 93.
Thank you.
Thank you to Vincent with a Y. 93.
Thank you.
Thank you to One Stick of Flying Fuck at the Moon. 1993.
Thank you.
Thank you to Your Mom. 93.
Thank you.
Thank you to Ziz, because Pie Guy liked being last in 1993.
Oh, yeah.
Hell yeah,
Oh, man.
1993.
What a year. What a year. Folks, gentlemen,
Yeah.
Dave,
We did it.
we've done it. We've come to the end of things.
End of the road.
The end of the road.
it
Although
for
we've
us.
come.
It's
1993.
the 93 recording artist, Boys to Men,
And the
once
road.
saying. Do you happen to have one last little movie, Dave, that deserves some more hype in 93?
Sure. Why not? Let me whip one together real quick. Right.
Sweet.
All
Ah,
right.
Jeff, I'm so glad you're here.
Make
for
us a
this.
quick little movie, Dave.
Yeah,
just
I'll
put
make
one
you a
together.
quick little
Just put one
movie.
together.
All right, folks. This is called The Invisible Fight. This is coming out early 2024. It's hitting, what's it called? Festivals. It only has a handful of reviews for that reason. Doesn't seem like that many people have seen it. Also, it's an Estonian martial arts comedy, which is a thing that exists. It is I'm very curious about this movie. It doesn't go too hard in like it's clearly shot like a 70s martial arts movie. It's set in the Soviet Union in the 70s.
Got that 8mm film grit to it.
Yeah, it's got like the Tarantino,
the
like
Grindhouse.
Kill Bill, Grindhouse. It's apparently it has a combination of it's about a guy who decides to be a kung fu master who's studying a black metal kung fu group of monks, an Orthodox monastery. It's a lot of things. One of the reviews says it's a cross between Shaolin soccer and Gymkhana.
Yeah, that's
but
I
with
was better
production values and Orthodox monks.
I was actually going to mention the Shaolin soccer energy to it, what it looks like, or I guess probably not Kung Fu Hustle. That seems a little too extreme.
Yeah,
but yeah.
And they're saying like there's a scene where like black metal kung fu like ninjas are fighting a KGB officer. So it's like it's a lot of stuff, and it actually gives me a little bit of Kung Fury vibes, but it feels less forced.
Kung Fury was the most try-hard shit that I have ever seen.
Right,
yeah,
because this movie's not... Sorry.
Oh, it took all the Kung Fury was like it took all the memes we already knew. Does that make sense?
It was trading on all the memes that we are. It's like
this one looks like it's all new.
Yeah, black metal in a Russian Orthodox monastery. Like none of that's memes.
Yeah. And there's a romantic relationship with a woman who quote may or may not be a demon.
Sweet.
So like there's a lot of stuff in this, and I'm like, what's going on here?
Yeah, like satire is at its best when it is subtle, even like, for example, and I know that this isn't the definition of a subtle film. Airplane has held up in spite of the fact that nobody knows Airport 77.
Yes, right. It doesn't matter.
In spite of the fact that it's making a number of pop culture references that are now 50 years out of date.
Yes, those references still land. Like,
because it's just funny.
Like, it's not there. Like, this looks good because it's not trying so hard. And again, Kung Fury, bringing that up, like I kind of, my ass was chapped about that movie because you watch it and you're like, man, you guys are trying so hard to capture the zeitgeist of something from 2 years ago.
Yeah.
And then you'd see something like Axe Cop when it was first released, and you're like, okay, well, this is fun because of how effortless the creation of it was. Not effortless, obviously they put work into it, but this has the energy more of an Axe Cop than a Kung Fury.
It feels more authentic.
Yeah.
And apparently, according to the reviews, it's way more introspective than you'd assume too. Like apparently there's like scenes about the character like trying to find himself, and like it gets a little more like serious or touching than it needs to. So it sounds like they're actually trying to make a movie too. Like it's not just a series of memes pasted together. They're trying to like tell a story about something at the same time, which I appreciate.
Yeah.
So like that's all to say, like the trailer, like you can kind of get the vibes where you're like, this is different. Like this is definitely trying to be like a cheeky meme, but it feels like it was made with a lot of skill, and I'm just super curious.
Yeah, this is. Go ahead.
I was just to say the trailer is extremely silly. Like it looks really silly, but really skillfully done, and with that Grindhouse sheen. So they're deliberately trying to make it look like a vintage movie, which would, that's always kind of like it's
a red flag,
right? It can be a red flag, but like this, I'm not getting a red flag from this movie. It looks
and on top of what's funny is I think of Barbarian as having that filter on it, and it didn't.
No, it didn't.
But I remember
fisheye in that one scene.
I like Turbo Kid. Turbo Kid had that, and I still liked it. Like you can do that.
I'm saying it can be a red flag. I'm just saying. Yeah.
I do like that they. Even in the comments, in the trailer, they're like, this has the makings of a cult film. They're like, we could see it. And again, it's sort of like a thing with like Kung Fury, for example, like the pan was flashed very fast.
Yes.
And this, they're like, I think this is going to have teeth. Like all the reviews seem to be like, they'll make, it'll work.
Yeah.
I'm hyped on it. When's it come out?
Wow.
Early 2024, it says.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Let's do it.
Sweet.
Yeah. I mean, I knew I was reading the notes. I was just trying to.
What's it called again, Dave?
I don't know.
The Invisible Fight.
Yeah.
Estonian black metal kung fu movie. Sweet.
Yeah, pretty sweet. Check it out, folks.
Let's all go
All
to
right.
Estonia and fight some people.
We should do that. We should go find wherever this monastery is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
But that's a sode. We did it. We did it, everyone.
Yeah.
Woo.
Oh man, Jeff, thank you so much for being here.
Hey, thanks for having me. I never get to talk to you, Tom, so this is rare.
I know it's a rare occurrence. Rare occurrence indeed. Do you want to hit your pluggies one more time?
I mean,
If
you're here, Tom and Jeff watch Batman, obviously, you should know about that. And if you don't, shame on you. But also come hang out on the Patreon, on the Gamefully Unemployed Patreon, and listen to it. It's really fun. We're doing 2004's animated series, The Batman. Head on over to patreon.com/Jeff May for early access to uncensored episodes with bonus content of shows like Jeff Has Cool Friends, as well as exclusives like Ugh Fine and early access to Nerd with Dre Alvarez, although that also exists for free. And then all the stuff I do with Adam Todd Brown on You Don't Even Like This Network, such as You Don't Even Like Sports, You Don't Even Like This Show, and You Don't Even Like Sports Cards.
Ooh. All right.
Sweet.
I'm going to plug the Patreon
Dave,
real
tell him
quick.
stuff.
Patreon.com/Gamefully Unemployed. GAMEFULOY Unemployed. There's a podcast on there called Tom and Jeff Watch Batman. But there's also Fox Mulder's A Maniac, Star Trek The Next Futurama, and Spiel Boys. You get access to all of those for $5 a month. We also watch movies every Friday night. That will be the night this comes out. We know what we're going to watch. We have a plan.
We do.
You know, sometimes we don't.
Is it Malice? You'll have to find out.
You'll have to find out. Check it
We
out.
also have a store. Head over to GameFullyUnemployed.com where you can find a link to our Teespring store where we have all kinds of cool original artwork and designs you can get on t-shirts, mugs, stickers, posters, all sorts of things. So slap your malicious little peepers onto that. Mm-hmm. All right. Say goodbye, everyone.
Goodbye.
Bye.
Bye, Malice fans.
Our music is produced by Chris Corlew. You can follow him on Twitter at @thecorlew, CORLEW, and find more music at shipwreckedsailor.bandcamp.com. Our channel artwork is produced by Michael Vincent Bramley. You can find more of his artwork at instagram.com/mvbramleyart. Our episode artwork is produced by Justin Brown. You can follow him on Twitter at @JustinTBrown and find more of his artwork at artnessbyjustinbrown.com and justinbrown.info.